You're live.
And we're live. What a great intro. Brett, we need to record Brett saying, crank it up, guys. Come on. That needs to be the start of the intro, Trent.
Please.
That's it.
Easy.
That's it right there. We got it.
This week in real estate. Crank it up.
Guys, come on.
Guys, come on.
So, welcome to the third episode of This Week in Real Estate. My name's Jonathan Harmon. I'm with the J Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. And I got one of my oldest friends and my first team member, Mr. Brett Garner, joining us live in studio. We were just talking about kids and responsibility with them. We have the three of us have children at various life stages. It's fun sometimes. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Challenging. Yep.
Challenging. Yes. I'm trying to be positive, Jim. Trying to be positive, man.
Yep.
Every day's a test. Every day.
Still trying to be positive, Brett.
Tests aren't necessarily bad.
I don't know. I know a lot of people have test anxiety. So
I guess that's true.
But we've got our friend, Mr. Jim Edwards of Preferred Home Inspection here with us. And, I met Jim through Brett. Brett started. How did you guys meet? I don't know that story.
I was doing an open house at Meadowlark, I think was the street name, out off Baker Road area. It was one of your listings, and it was kind of a slow day.
As open houses can be sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that risk you take when you have one.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim walked in and just started talking and asking questions. And, at that point we were using Ron Baker.
Yep.
Exclusively.
Love Ron.
Ron's a great guy. I felt like I needed somebody in the background in case Ron was busy. And I called Jim about...
You needed a side chick, basically.
I did.
Yeah.
But I called Jim about a house that it was the one on College for Willie and Lindsay. I was like, it's an older house.
Really old house. Yeah.
How comfortable do you feel doing it? And he was super honest with me. He was like, hey, I haven't done a lot in that time period, but I'm more than happy to take it on. So that was our first inspection together.
Yeah, that was a number of years ago. I mean, I started about 5.5 years ago, and that was probably
about
four and a half
years ago. Yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, 512 East College, our first date.
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. That's awesome. And you were relatively new to the area as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. We moved here in 2015. I get into home inspections in 2017.
And what did you do before?
I was a sales rep. I was in the optical industry, just working my way around Middle Tennessee and Alabama. Totally different, but I did everything around my house. I did everything at home, and had been looking for something to get into. I could just do my thing and enjoy it. And this was it. Started doing some research on it and took some classes and dove in.
Yeah.
What specifically brought you to Murfreesboro?
Because
you came from Northern Indiana. Right?
Indiana. Yeah. So
y'all don't have daylight savings there, right?
No.
It's just Indianapolis.
Okay, I was gonna say there's some chunks of Indy.
Northeast and Evansville area do change.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Boy, that's so confusing. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So what brought me to Murfreesboro? I was working in optical and just wanted to change, wanted to get out of the cold. I had Charlotte, North Carolina, or Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay,
pick Tennessee.
You chose well.
Yeah,
I
chose wisely.
We're still very happy. Very, very happy.
And I've used you a couple times, and I do mostly listings, but certainly whenever we have one at this point, we've shifted almost exclusively to Jim. In that, how do you? I guess let me try to formulate my thought process. When I got licensed, I had a little bit of, and I still do occasionally. So if you can relate to this, believe me, I'm with you. I suffered sometimes from some imposter syndrome, right? Like, why do I think that I'm smart enough to help you with your biggest asset, right? So I can only imagine that when you're invited in to find all the flaws in a house, that there's some anxiety. Well, what if I miss something? Well, what if I, so when you first got into it, like, how did you say, yes, I can find all the things wrong with your house?
So yeah, when you first get started, it can be a little scary. but then I have a pretty good network. I took the classes here and it was in Brentwood. It was like a week long and got licensed and all that. But then I still had like 5 or 6 guys. And now I got like 20, 25 guys in the area that I can call or text pictures to. And, so putting something in the report and it's only a little snapshot. It's basically, I'm there for 3 hours and here's what I see. And I don't have to have everything right then and there. I can go home and do some research. So
That's a good
that's
point.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, when you first started, it was a little scary, but now it's really nothing.
Do you ever have to go back? Do you ever like look at something, go, I'm not really sure about that, and then you want to go back and see it again, or maybe take somebody with you? How do you deal with that?
Sometimes I want to go back because I didn't take good enough pictures. But I usually have to go back to do a report. I had one a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, that was just nasty. I mean, built in the mid 80s, foundation was just terrible. And I'm like, I took a lot of pictures, but I really wanted to go back and like, I want this in my file to talk about with other people and show
Teachable
them.
moment.
Teachable. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
There's experts that I know and I'm like, here, you can use these pictures. These are going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Great in that they're not great.
Great in that they're not great.
Well,
Right.
I'm sure
Right.
you
don't see it.
mentor new home inspectors
Yeah.
too that join the ASHI group.
Right.
local
Right.
ASHI.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got a group about 30 guys right now, and we typically have been getting together quarterly for meetings and, get some training and things like that. It's kind of backed off because of COVID and we need to get back into it, but just everybody get together, share ideas and problems that we're finding and what we're seeing in the industry.
Do you guys share war stories too?
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
That's a good part
I got
of it.
one.
Yeah.
One of those kind of things.
That's definitely a big part of it.
I'd like to hear that part.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I've heard some of them.
Yeah.
I've gotten a
And
call about
experienced some of them.
it. Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Typically his are a little different. But
Well, Brett does a pretty good job of
Yeah.
filtering it out before it ever gets to you, and that's one of the reasons he's a phenomenal buyer's agent. Is he does notice things, and ultimately, that's your job,
Mhm.
right? Is to just notice things,
right.
and we've run into that. This is one of the things that I preached at Brett when he first started with us, and at all of our agents is somebody walks into that house, they're it's like the first when you first fall in love with someone
Yeah.
and you don't see all their flaws and your
Yeah.
best friend is standing there going, dude,
Mm-hmm.
what are you thinking? It's like
the
that.
rose-colored
It is
glasses.
It
exactly.
is.
Yes.
And you need somebody to go,
Hey, wake up. You
This-
don't want this.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is not good. This is not good. Oh, but I can fix it. Well, maybe.
You can.
It might cost a lot, but yeah.
Exactly.
Every problem's fixable if you have the right amount of money.
That's it. Yeah. Sometimes it's fixable with a bulldozer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what it amounts to. And maybe you don't have the answer to your point, but you at least recognize that it's an issue.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think that's what most people want out of their home inspector,
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I liked most about Jim when I first met him, his reports, I've used numerous home inspectors, and some are a little more dramatic about certain things in the inspection report.
Mm-hmm.
I just want facts. I don't need any fluffery, as we would say in our business.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to make a mountain out of a molehill, but advise people that, hey, you should seek professional advice on this.
Mhm.
My experience only goes so far. You need to keep going.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the things that I've seen home inspectors really get themselves in a pickle over is identify an issue, and then they say or they type to that client, oh, well, this is going to cost you X to get it remedied. There's no way I'm doing that at this point.
No.
Because I mean, with inflation and materials, and I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know is the right answer to that.
Right. Bring in an expert. If it's a roofer or electrician, bring in the expert, let them just determine what it's going to take in their opinion.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I leave it. My reports are pretty just straightforward. Here's the problems that need to be looked at by you. Have a conversation with your agent and do what I recommend to get that problem fixed.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing that we run into often, and I certainly have been guilty of this, is, well, the comment something like, well, that's not really a big deal. That should be a pretty easy fix. That's sort of like telling somebody, well, this is a safe neighborhood.
Right.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Right?
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's perception of an easy fix is
It's totally different. Yeah.
drastically different. Yeah. So using the right, to your point, using the right language is important.
It is very important. I mean, home inspection usually is going to make or break any transaction that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens very early on, typically, as long as you're,
Doing the right things.
doing the right things,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
using that due diligence period. And, a good home inspection matters a lot.
It does.
It's a huge investment our folks are making. Usually for a lot of people, it's their retirement nest egg. They don't have any other investments somewhere. They're banking on the equity they pick up every time they move to be their future honeypot.
True story.
When they go to
Mhm.
resell that house, they want to make sure that the home inspector that they used when they bought it did their job.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's important to me. And I encourage my clients to have Jim come back, maybe not after your first year, but call him year 2. Hey, give me a punch list on stuff that I've ignored, or maybe, there's a lot of people that are not handy.
I'm going to say
Right.
stuff that I've done to my own house.
Yes. There are a lot of people that are not super handy, and a home inspector is a good person. And for the money, you're getting a great deal for them to point out things that you can do to keep your house tip top.
Yeah. To go through the attic.
It's like
the
you read
crawl
my
space,
list, dude.
Go through those things again, and new things will pop up, and get a jump on them, get them fixed before they become a really big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like the sheet that we give new clients about home maintenance and the times a year that you should do it. Well, again, if you're not handy or you don't really know what you're looking for, it's a well-worthy investment to call a good home inspector.
No doubt. No doubt about it. So, Jim, some rapid fire questions. The process. What is a home inspection? If completely ignorant, what is a home inspection and what is it not?
So basically, a home inspection is a snapshot in time of what I can find that is a problem in the house, that's a current defect, a current something that's not working, a system that needs to be repaired, and what I'm seeing on that day. So go in, find everything that I can, write a report, and give it to you so you have that information that night.
At that moment.
Right, here it is. And if it rains for the next 7 days and the crawl space floods or something like that, hopefully we can see evidence of that and maybe have to make that note in the report, but I don't have a crystal ball. So that's basically what the home inspection is. It's not like an appraisal. It's not giving you an idea what it's going to cost to fix some things.
And it's not a prediction of
Yeah, exactly.
Future
exactly.
condition. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll try, like roofs might last 20 years. And if I get up there, it's pretty rough. I'm not really seeing that it needs repairs, but you should know that it's probably the original 20-year-old roof.
Sure. HVAC is 13 years old.
Yeah. Yep. 10, 15 years or so. And give them that idea as well.
Gotcha. And even that information is extremely valuable. And a lot of folks, if depending on what they've done, life experience, that kind of thing, it's good for someone to say, hey, this HVAC is 10 years old. Well, is that good or bad? Well, it's neither good nor bad. It's 10 years old. It's operating correctly right now, but average lifespan is
14,
X.
15 years.
And I look at a home inspection kind of like a physical,
Mm-hmm.
but it's for your house. We go every year. Your home should have a physical periodically.
They tell me I'm fat every year, and I'm like, yes, doc, I know. Thank you. And I'm still bald too. Yep, got it.
And when you go see a doctor and there's something on your physical that's not right, what's he do? He usually sends you to a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I can
Yeah, good point.
draw an analogy to a home inspection.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. All right. So I've got a new listing. What's the best way for me to prepare? Obviously, if I have a listing, my intention is to sell the house. If I am a listing, rather, if I'm selling my home, my intention is to get somebody in there to buy it. At least in this market now, we've come out of that 3 years where who knows if they're going to do one. But you can reasonably expect that somebody's going to do a home inspection on it. So as a seller, what's the best way for me to prepare for that upcoming home inspection?
Have a home inspection done. I'm not sure exactly why people don't. I mean, I don't
Double-edged sword, Jim.
It is a double-edged sword. But for me to come in and do a complete home inspection, they're few and far between.
A pre-listing.
Yeah, pre-listing inspection, top to bottom, go into everything, and you can fix some things yourself if it's minor, and you get professionals to fix the major things. And then when it goes on the market, there's no surprises and negotiation back and forth, and who's going to pay for this, and if you get a jump on it, that's basically.
When you say it's a double-edged sword, what do you mean by that?
There are a lot of people that buy into the idea that knowing those things exist because it has to be disclosed is the wrong reason to have a home inspection before the buyers come and make you an offer. It is their due diligence. It's their job to discover defects in the property they're attempting to purchase. Well, if you as a seller have that pre-listing home inspection done and you do find out that there's some major things wrong, you're going to have to disclose that on the front
Either
end.
fix it or disclose it.
Yeah, exactly. You're still going to have to disclose it, even if you
Correct.
fix it.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to show up on that property condition, and that can severely scare buyers when they read that before going in.
But the flip side of that is, if the buyer has a home inspection done, you're both going to be surprised 10 days into a contract. So
that's right.
We can argue circles.
Yeah. And every inspector is going to find something different. I mean, I can find something different a week later. If I go through and just stay focused on what I'm looking for and not going, well, what did I find last week? I can find something different every time.
I
mean, a 2 to 3 hour home inspection, it's one snapshot of that home. So it's tough. When people get upset about something that was missed, something happens 3 months after they move in and there's something that's wrong, it's a tough phone call, but you got to have the conversation that, the guy can't see and do everything. Now, if it's something I feel like should have been noticed, I'm going to call Jim and say, hey, we need to make this right.
Yeah.
What are some things? So again, kind of on that preparation side of things, what are some moments, some red flags, if you will, when you walk in? I know what I tell people, so I'm curious to hear your answer to this question. But sometimes you walk into a house and your perception immediately is, man, this place is well cared for. They've done a good job. You're still going to investigate everything. You're still going to look at everything, of course. But are there things when you walk in that you immediately take in and you go, ooh, there's going to be some issues here?
So it can depend on the age of the house. And when I first pull in the driveway and I can kind of look and see some things wrong with the roof and things like that. But for the most part, just digging in, starting my process, going around the outside and then working my way down and going through things, is pretty much how I'm going to do it.
So you don't kind of pre-evaluate.
A little bit.
Prejudge?
A little bit, but I don't like to.
I use the word pre-evaluate.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
If I see it's listed as is, or I do think it's an investor-owned property.
Soffit board hanging off on the front.
Yeah.
Or,
And I can walk in and it looks really nice here, and it looks nice. New kitchen cabinets, new flooring and stuff like that. But being an old house from the 50s, 60s, then I know I've got my work cut out for me, and I really got to focus on finding things, because there's been things that are covered up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's one of those things that kind of almost a dirty little secret, is that you've probably heard the cliche, putting lipstick on a pig. And it's still a pig. And we run into that a lot in this market, where somebody comes in and they dress it up from the top of the floor to the bottom edge of the ceiling, and they ignore everything that's in the attic and in the crawl space. And that's really the things that'll bite you.
Some agents will get in the crawl space and kind of take a look around, maybe not the entire crawl space, but peek in there and crawl in a little bit. Last week I had an empty house, vacant, with a lot of area rugs down, and I was there with the buyer. I'm pulling them up, and I'm seeing really bad flooring, laminate that was just kind of buckled and things like that. So there's little things that come up, like area rugs in a vacant house.
Yeah. Well, here's another fun fact on area rugs. This is a free tip for you. If it's hardwood floors and those area rugs have been there a long time, pull them back and look, because that hardwood will absolutely fade.
Change color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I always go to the garage first and look to see how many like home improvement tools there are before I start to really delve into the house, because I want to know if it's a DIY person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There are certain things I will look for when I'm doing a showing if I know the homeowner is a big DIYer.
Mhm. That's interesting.
What if the seller's there and they say they don't know anything about fixing houses, and you see a lot of tools in the garage?
I'm going to call them out on that one. I
Yeah.
think,
I'm like,
You want to see their YouTube search history?
yeah, I do.
That was funny. All right. So you've been doing this a few years here in Middle Tennessee. What, if you had to list your top 5 most common issues that you run into, just in general, and I know age of home, I get all that.
yeah.
But what would you say are the top 5 things that end up on, the lion's share of the reports that you do?
I could probably answer this one for you.
Well, I'm not interviewing you.
Kidding.
Top 5. Okay. Usually crawl spaces are a mess.
Mhm.
Nobody goes down there and check things. They're usually wet. There's mold, fungus, insulation.
We don't use the M word, Jim.
Fungal organic growth.
Growth.
How's that? Is that better?
PPC. There you go.
Roofs 20 years or so, pretty common, or heat pumps, things like that are 15 years old. Common in every report. I mean,
Downspout extensions.
always going to call out downspout extensions,
The
gutters.
anti-tip device.
Barely do I call that out.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't make a big deal out of some small things, but
Yeah.
always do the downspouts. I mean, that's part of keeping the crawl space dry. If you clean out your gutters, move all the water away,
Mhm.
grading around the foundation, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. And I'd say that I'm gonna know if my sink is leaking most of the time.
Most of the time,
I'm gonna know if the floor is super bouncy. Like, I'm gonna have an idea about that. I have a basement, so I go into my underneath
Mhm.
decently often, but the majority of people will never go in the
Right.
crawl space of their home
right.
ever.
I would say most have never seen inside of a crawl space ever.
Maybe peeked in the door.
But gone in, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here in Tennessee, I mean, it's just a big problem. If the grading is not right, you're going to get some water in there, or I mean, it's a little controversial. Some open up their crawl space vents. I don't. I close mine off and it stays nice and dry. But when you open them up in the summertime and it's hot and humid and all that gets on the moisture, it gets on the insulation, it starts dragging things down. Then the termite guy comes through and says, there's a lot of fungal growth and things like that. So, it's just a matter of
The flip side is, if you get moisture in there and you don't have the vents open, it stays in.
right.
Oh, we can argue this for days.
Right. Just close it off, put a dehu in there and
Rock and roll.
or
you go.
encapsulate it. Yeah.
Upselling for the HVAC guys.
There.
I was gonna say, and this episode brought to you by
April Air. No.
All right,
Views expressed on this show, not necessarily
the views of the J Harmon Home Team, or spread the positive. All right, craziest things you've ever seen. Give me your top 3 craziest things, because you go into all of them. The hoarder houses, you go into everything. What's the top 3 craziest things that you've ever seen?
Like, as far as like defects, or
You answer that however you see fit.
I mean, there's
Wow me with your stories, Jim.
There's a lot of guns and ammunition and deer heads and things like that, which I'm not a hunter. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have a lot of guns and ammunition,
And they just leave it out.
and you just open the closet door and just everything's right there.
Don't do that. The
Lock-
liability associated with that
correct,
is
yes.
insane.
Yeah, I've guns on the bedroom nightstand,
nightstand,
just sitting there, and I'm coming through with the buyer and the agent, and it's like, oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, put that stuff away.
Mhm.
I showed a house recently and found a pistol in a closet with a note that said, thanks for the loaner of the gun. Had a signature there. Called the agent. Don't worry about it. Awesome. That's fantastic. There's a loaded firearm in the closet with a note attached to it. Was this involved in a crime? Should I call the cops? I mean, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. And another thing that I tend to run into from time to time, I mean, it's your private space, and what you do in your private space is your business. But I'm just kind of coming through to look at the components. I don't
Leaky
pay attention
sinks
to
and
it.
bathtubs
Yeah. I don't look through drawers, but I'll open the bathroom underneath the bathroom. And
Sure.
so you see what people are into.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What they get into.
The
Yes.
things they put behind a cabinet.
Yes.
Yes.
So interestingly enough, this is great because I always have this conversation with a listing. Anything that you don't want people to find, you put it in furniture because no one has any reason to ever look in your
That's
furniture.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? No one, not the home inspector, not the home buyer, no one. And if I hear furniture opening, as an agent,
Yeah.
That's
buyer's agent,
yeah.
I'm going to
I'm going.
chastise my client.
Mhm.
But people are going to look in the cabinets.
Right.
They are going to, and they should, especially if there's componentry like you're talking about in those cabinets. So yeah, come on, guys, be smarter and don't leave guns out. I don't care if you have a gun, just don't leave it out.
I'll just do this with the drawers. I'm going to make sure the cabinets and the drawers open and look underneath the sinks and stuff like that. But other than that, a lot of stuff is off limits. But not. That's just me. That's how I do it. That's not how every home inspector or termite inspector goes through a house. But I just assume I'm on camera.
Yeah,
every time,
and you should
100% of the time.
I mean, it's just the right thing to do anyway.
Right.
I tell my folks to imagine that their parents are getting ready to move into their house and they're looking, and that's how you need to present your home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't want your
That's a
parents
good
to
idea.
see it or know about it, put it away.
Yeah.
All right. And then the craziest actual defect that you've seen in a house.
So we had talked about this about a week and a half ago. And basically this house was built in the 80s and the foundation was, it was not secured. The house was not secured down to the foundation. It was on a
There's
hill.
no sill plate,
No sill plate, no anchors, nothing. And
no strapping.
just moving like 4 inches.
4 inches?
4 to 6 inches forward. So your concrete block where it was sitting on,
it had migrated across the block.
And now it's sitting just on the brick veneer along the front of the house. And it's just
The brick
sitting on
veneer
that.
apron.
So let me get this right. So the framing of the home was no longer on the actual concrete block. It had slid forward. So that means on
the front and back, but still on the sides. Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Gravity is real, people.
Not that exactly.
No seal plate.
Yeah.
No strapping.
So
Yeah.
what did
Can
they
you
have? How
imagine
did the
that?
studs come up off of the block? There had to have been some kind of plate, right?
It was just the subfloor.
Yeah.
It was toenailed to the
Onto
subfloor.
the subfloor like this, and then your floor joist and your band board around the sides. So the sides were still sitting on the concrete foundation, but the front and back had moved. And I'm in the crawl space, and I'm tilted down like so, and I'm like kind of scooting back just to take some pictures. And
I'd have got the crap out of that crawl space.
Yeah.
There's no telling when that thing's gonna go.
When Jim
I know.
called to tell me
Exactly.
about it, I was like, man, somebody knew somebody when that house was built, and they were like, yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah.
There were no
And
inspections.
you told the buyer to, like, in that case, a little bit of alarmism is good.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I told
Yeah,
him
yeah.
to get your best foundation guy to come out and take a look really quick.
But how do you fix that? You don't, do you? I mean,
A lot of work. Or I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can fix it.
all right. So here's my next natural question out of that. You've got somebody that bought this house 4 years ago, right? And they moved into this house 4 years ago. Their home inspector maybe didn't see that
Right.
somehow. And you're about to list this house and you get that home inspection back, or you've got it listed and you get that home inspection. What do you tell your clients?
Hope you got really good home warranty plan.
I mean, that wouldn't even be under a warranty.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be an insurance thing either, I don't think. Like, I don't even know what.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a clause for our insurance friends out there? Is there a rider in your policy for builder defects discovered
Many years
down the road?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
if you've got some information on what
Drop it to us. Yeah.
I honestly don't know the right advice to give somebody in that scenario.
I have no idea.
And that's rare that I'm speechless. That's rare.
I don't know that I would be able to say anything back to my client once they told me all this. Like I might be speechless for a minute.
I would think that you could, foundation company could go in and boost some things up and make repairs, but it might be $50,000, $75,000, $100,000.
I would think way more, but
yeah.
Because I mean, ultimately, you got to take the brick off and almost build like another wall of block, and somehow lift the house up enough to get a sill plate. I mean, that's
yeah.
Or you put blocking in between each and every single stud and strap it all and anchor pin it. I think it'd be super expensive.
Yeah. Now some houses didn't have sill plates, 40s, 50s. They weren't always, but it's just a lot harder to build a house when you're not starting there. But I have seen few back in the day.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Okay. Craziest thing you've seen. There you go. I'm for it. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. And this one will leave you guys. And by the way, if you have any advice that you could offer on how I should handle that, should I ever run into that scenario, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear. Because I have no idea.
Past client, tell us.
Yeah.
Like if that happened to you, how would you expect for us to react?
Well, I've gotten a couple phone calls recently that they passed on inspections last year. And somebody, one of them, they were like, we bought it a year ago. We couldn't get an inspection done. We were just going to we had to pass at that time. And, so
we'd really like one done.
I think they leased it to the seller for 4 or 5 months or so. And then it sat vacant for a little while. And then they got into it now and they're calling me and saying, well, we've already spent about $6,000. We had an HVAC guy in, we had an electrician in. We really should not have passed on a home inspection.
And I think we're going to see those issues over the next couple years crop up because there was a lot of them. And I feel very confident we did very few deals over the last couple of years where we flat out waived inspection.
Right. Yeah.
Almost always we always encouraged, but almost always we did it as a pass fail.
Right.
So there was still an inspection done, and then it was your choice to move forward.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the best situation. Yeah.
I would bet it's one hand. Number of transactions.
I feel pretty comfortable about that as well. Okay. I'm a homeowner. I've got this house. It's not for sale, but the majority of the stuff that you run into probably, I'm guessing here, is deferred maintenance stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where I've neglected, I haven't discovered, I haven't stayed on top of, just the normal maintenance stuff. And then mechanical stuff breaks. It just does.
Yeah.
What are the best 5 things as a homeowner that I can do to protect my investment in my home?
I'd say first and foremost, have a heating and air conditioning guy come out and take a look at it for $75, $100 a year to go through the system, top to bottom and look over your heating and air conditioning system.
And make sure they're a heating and air repair company, not a heating and air sales first type company.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Not going to name names, but there are some out there that all of their technicians are actually salesmen first.
Yeah. We had a situation like that. Recently, I had to ask you about them, and
I can give you referrals if you want them.
Right. Changing your filters, monthly or whatever the case may be on your furnace filters, your return air filters, things like that. Always want to make sure the downspouts are extended out, moving the water away from the house, cleaning your gutters so that it doesn't overflow and fascia board and things like that. Just overall, just kind of your general maintenance and check underneath your sinks and stuff for things that leak. Just take care of your house like you're supposed to. Check the water heater. If anything that comes up that's just out of the ordinary, do some further investigating. If your water heater's not as hot as it used to be or something, it could be one of the elements or things like that. And I like to say water heaters 10 to 12 years or so. We've seen some very old water heaters, but if it's struggling or not doing like what it used to be, then needs to have some attention.
Pay attention to your landscaping.
Yep, definitely.
Trees.
The trees in the roof and getting into the siding and stuff like that. Trees and bushes and stuff like that do a lot of damage.
Those are things that usually happen slow and cause lots of damage and it can go unseen for long time.
Yeah, people get busy and just you can get used to coming home, going into the house, and yeah, they don't pay attention to it.
Yep. It's good stuff. Well, Jim, anything you'd like to leave us with?
I appreciate you having me on the show. It's good. I like watching them on YouTube and or Facebook, and enjoyed it.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the work that you do, and
Jim's also a collaborator on our Teacher and Hero.
Oh,
Excellent.
And we appreciate that.
Excellent
very
point.
much
You're
so.
welcome.
So we're, by the way, on that, we're ramping up for 2023. I got your contribution the other day. And if you do want to nominate a teacher or a hero of the month, you can do that through our website. There's a form in there to fill out. And we're giving those out this week, I think.
And if you're a business owner or someone that would like to contribute to this endeavor, we'd love to talk to you about that too.
Yeah, I think we're at 20 businesses that are participating. So it's pretty cool. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you need to
go
call
look
us.
it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we drop a link to that in the
Trent,
video?
can you make a link to the Teacher and Hero nomination form on J Harmon Home Team and put it in the comments for us?
Thank you.
That's one way that we help spread the positive, and we love spread the positive. We love you, Trent.
Love y'all too. You didn't.
I feel out of
also
place.
Need to thank Brian.
Yeah, Bryan Nale.
Bryan Nale.
Goodness gracious, Brian. We love you too, buddy. And I am so sorry that I didn't do that at the beginning. So Bryan Nale over at Primis Mortgage, he is our go-to guy. If he had been here, it'd have been one more guy with hair.
I know.
But,
Wouldn't feel so out of place, but
Yeah, you're a weirdo. My grandma said that God made so many perfect heads and the rest he put hair on.
There you go.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Bald guys unite. That's right.
All guys unite.
All right. Okay.
don't be jealous of my follicle giftedness.
Follicle giftedness is pretty awesome.
I don't even know how to end with that. That's good stuff.
Hey, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much for
you.
watching.
Hang on, everybody.
Follicle giftedness.